Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 460 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay. How about you?
I am doing excellent. I think I've said it on TCAT. I've said it on Patreon. I'm having a really good week.
You are just a freaking bowl of Cheerios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they now have Cheerios with protein in them.
Did they never had protein in them before?
I don't think so.
I wonder what that tastes like.
Protein, probably.
Is that why you put milk in them to get some? Does milk have protein?
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
this is extra protein, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go ahead and give our Patreon shout outs. We had Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
Casey.
What's going on, Casey?
Louise Brooking.
Hey, Louise.
Jay Wutch.
What's going on, Jay?
Molly Burr.
Hey, Molly.
Kim Sampson.
Well, thank you, Kim.
Jennifer Kale.
Oh, Jennifer.
Nicole Sands.
There's Nicole.
And last but not least, Jim.
Good old Jim.
And then if we go back into the vault, this week we selected Emily Van Haren.
Well, thanks, Emily.
Yeah, we appreciate the new support, the continued support. We have an episode out right now on True Crime All the Time where we're talking about Patricia Rohrer. She was convicted of kidnapping and murdering her ex-boyfriend's wife and infant son in December 1994. The prosecution was largely circumstantial, and the case kind of hinged on hair evidence from the crime scene, but it was 1994 technology, and Patricia has spent almost 30 years appealing her conviction.
I could see both sides of that coin.
Yeah, there are people who believe she's definitely guilty. There's also people who believe she's innocent. All right, buddy, are you ready to get into this episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved?
I am.
We're talking about the disappearance of Trevaline Evans. Antique shop owner Trevaline Evans disappeared from Llangollen, Denbighshire, North Wales on June 16, 1990. She left a note on the door telling her customers that she'd be back in just a few minutes, but she never returned. Over 30 years later, she still has not been found. Trevaline Evans was a 52-year-old grandmother from Llangollen, Denbighshire, North Wales. Llangollen is a small community situated on the River Dees. The 2021 census recorded the population at around 3,600 people.
So not a big town.
Not at all. Trevaline owned a shop in town called Attic Antiques. Her husband, Richard, was a maintenance engineer. The couple had one son, Police Sergeant Richard Evans, who was an adult when his mother went missing. During the week of her disappearance, Trevaline and Richard were away from home. They spent time at their vacation bungalow near the coast in a town called Rhuddlan, which is also in County Denbighshire. You ever been to Wales, Gibbs?
I have not.
Me neither.
I mean, I wouldn't mind going.
I'd love to go. I would love to take a trip across the pond.
Yeah.
And check out some different countries. It is a long flight for me.
It would be a long flight.
I do not like to be cooped up. I mean, you've taken longer flights. You flew to Greece.
I did. Yeah. I think you'd be okay. You just, maybe take a tranquilizer.
You think I need a tranquilizer to make
might.
it? I might.
But I think you would love it over there. One, because while you're over there, I know you're going to go to Scotland.
Oh, absolutely.
And see your family members over there.
Yeah.
And then Ireland and England and
because if it's not Scottish, it's crop.
According to you, yep. But I think you'd have a merry good time.
I think you're right. And I like fish and chips a lot.
Yeah, you do. You like anything seafood, by the way.
I do. Trevaline and her husband, Richard, planned to make the bungalow their retirement home. Richard was doing renovations, and they hoped to move in soon. All right. Sounds like a pretty cool retirement home. A bungalow near the ocean.
That's perfect, man. I would love to have a bungalow by the ocean.
Trevaline returned to Llangollen on Wednesday, June 13th, 1990. On Saturday, June 16th, she opened her shop at her usual time, 9:30 a.m. She parked her car, a dark blue Ford Escort, 200 yards away. And that's quite a ways away if you think about it. I mean, it's 2 football fields.
It is. I'm assuming maybe the the parking wasn't that great up by the shops, and maybe you needed to park kind of far away and walk yourself,
I mean, obviously she didn't have her own parking spot at her business, and maybe nobody else could park there too.
Yeah.
Or maybe she parked away so there'd be more parking at the business. I don't know. That morning, approximately 25 friends and customers visited the shop. Witnesses said that Trevaline appeared relaxed and happy. She drank coffee with a friend who visited and arranged a girls' night out the following week. And I always think that's important, in these unsolved cases that we do. What is the person's mindset?
Yeah.
Who we know is, ultimately going to does disappear. What do they have going on? Because I think it's important to take a look at. Friend said, she was in a great mood. We just talked about the fact that she and her husband went to their bungalow. Seemed like they were excited to make this move. I'm not getting any vibes that there's anything going wrong in her life.
No, I mean, she's happy. She's working that day, and she's making plans to go out with her lady friends the following week.
Now, there are often things behind the scenes, right, that not everybody knows.
Can be.
And that's certainly possible here as well. It was a sunny day, and the town center was busy. At around 12:40 p.m., Trevaline left a note on the front door of her shop saying that she would be back in 2 minutes. And that's very specific.
It really is.
2 minutes. And you can't do a lot in 2 minutes. 2 minutes goes by very quickly.
Yeah, she can't run to her car 200 yards away in 2 minutes.
Maybe Usain Bolt could, but I'm not sure that this 52-year-old woman could have traversed it that quickly.
Yeah, so maybe she had to, again, I don't know, the bathroom situation and this.
Yeah, maybe
shop.
there wasn't a bathroom there. You're right. Maybe she had to go to the restroom. We don't know. But it was said that she kept several notes pre-written. It said things like back in half an hour, back in 2 hours. And, maybe half hour is going to get lunch. Maybe 2 hours is taking a siesta. I don't know. That afternoon, Trevaline's brother, Lynn Davies, visited the shop and found the note on the door. He returned about 25 minutes later and saw that she had still not returned. Richard was in Rutland that day, but he returned to Llangollen around 5 p.m. He went to Trevaline's shop and saw that she wasn't there. The shop was locked, but the lights were still on. Trevaline's brother, Lynn, was worried and came back to the shop a few times. Finally, at 11 p.m., he entered through a rear door that was closed but not locked. And then Trevaline was reported missing around midnight.
Yeah, I'm sure by then the concern was pretty high. And because she hasn't returned, I mean, that just seems the logical next step. Let's report her missing.
Yeah, and let's not forget the note said back in 2 minutes.
Right.
So, her brother came and she wasn't there, but he comes back 25 minutes later, she's still not there. Okay, I'm not sure that that's a freak out moment yet, but when her husband comes back at 5 o'clock, he goes there, she's not there. And then especially I think when her brother comes back much later, right? 11 p.m. Okay, now something's wrong. I think that is a sound the alarm bells moment.
Right.
Her purse, car keys, the other spare key to the shop, her jacket, and some fruit and flowers she purchased and intended to take home were left behind in the shop. Her car remained in its usual parking spot. Investigators determined that Trevaline bought an apple and a banana after she left the shop and was seen crossing nearby Castle Street. Her shop was on Church Street. A banana peel was found in a trash can in the shop, leading investigators to believe that she did return that afternoon, but this has never been confirmed. Now, maybe she ate a lot of bananas.
Right.
Maybe she brought one with her that morning, ate it. That's the one in the trash can. Or maybe she really did come back, but she never got the chance to take off the sign.
Very possible.
Although police said she may have been experiencing a midlife crisis and worried about moving, they also described her as happy and vivacious and said there were no indications she wanted to harm herself.
Yeah, I think even if you're having a midlife crisis, that would be an extreme resolution to that.
Either harming yourself or just pulling up stakes and voluntarily leaving and never speaking to your family again. Yeah, I agree. You know, they say guys buy a sports car or motorcycle or something like that.
Right.
I'm not sure what women do because I'm not a woman. Just to make that clear.
I'm glad you pointed that out for us.
I also not sure that I've gone through my midlife crisis. I don't know if everybody has one or just certain people. I have a lot of mini crises.
Yes.
More like fixations than crises. I get fixated on things for periods of time, and I'm really into those things, and then I get bored of that and go on to something else.
And your wife tolerates it.
Yeah. Now we're talking about hobbies here, not other women. As I realized that could have come off, very badly.
Yeah. No, you're very good to your wife.
Yes, I am.
And she's good to you.
And very faithful.
Yes.
Because she's going to hear this at some point.
Yes. You both are good to each other.
They also said that there were no signs that she wanted to leave her family, and she hadn't accessed any of the money in her bank account. And again, to me, that's always something to analyze. Now, it doesn't 100% mean that somebody couldn't just up and leave, but the prevailing thought is, okay, you think you would want some of that money. Now, there's a counter argument to be made that if you're trying to leave without anybody knowing that you've left, well, then maybe you've saved up money ahead of time, and taking money out of your bank account before you leave would kind of be a dead giveaway.
Yeah, I mean, you can make that case. I just find it really difficult when someone goes missing, but their purse and their, car and their bank account, none of that's been touched. It just makes it hard to figure out, okay, so what happened then? Like maybe they did. Maybe they saved some money up. Maybe they took a bus. Maybe they ran away with somebody.
Yeah, I think the other thing is it's kind of hard to imagine that when you don't have like the situations in a person's life that would kind of make you believe that is even a possibility.
Right.
Not a friend knows, a family member. Nobody kind of knows that something's going on that might make her want to leave. Police believe that whatever happened to Trevaline was not planned. In the days after her disappearance, her son Richard spoke to the press saying, literally, we're at a complete loss and have not got a clue about what has happened. That is why it's so worrying. There is no indication she was going anywhere. It's completely out of the blue. And that for us is the worrying thing. We've gone through nearly every logical threat. Richard was asked if there was anything worrying his mother. He answered, honestly, don't know. I think there were just a few things just going through her head, but she's such a logical sort of woman. I don't think she would do anything spontaneous like this. It doesn't follow a pattern. It seems very, very odd. We're just appealing for anyone who saw her on the Saturday or was with her on Sunday morning or since.
I mean, I think we all have things running through our heads at different times, right?
Yeah, that's kind of how your brain works.
Yeah.
Things kind of run through there and then they get transmitted to your mouth and then words come out.
That does happen. But sometimes some individuals can think about things, and I think we overthink, and then we, dwell on things and worry about things and,
Yeah, I absolutely think you're 100% right. I mean, I do think, there are stressors that everybody experiences in life. And sometimes, does everyone think, oh my gosh, I need to get away. Things are closing in on me.
Right.
There's too much going on. Yeah, I'm sure everybody has that from time to time. But I think, her son's answers and observations are pretty telling, right? She's not a spontaneous person. She doesn't seem like the sort that is just going to up and leave. And to me, all signs are pointing to the fact that she didn't. Hey folks, I've been doing a little spring reset with my closet lately, focusing more on quality over quantity, just building a wardrobe of pieces that are well made, versatile, and easy to reach for every day. And that's why I keep coming back to Quince. Quince makes beautiful everyday pieces using premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and super soft denim with styles starting around $50. And that same focus on materials carries over into their accessories, like their leather bags, which are made from 100% hand-woven Italian leather and honestly look way more expensive than they are. Quince works directly with ethical factories and cuts out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality, not brand markup. I recently bought a travel toiletry case from Quince. It's amazing, and the price just blew me away. And of course, my go-to continues to be their Flow Knit activewear. So refresh your spring wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/truecrime for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Go to quince.com/truecrime for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/truecrime. You know, starting a business can be tough. It can be intimidating. When we started the podcast, there was so much that went into it, and most of it we didn't know. We had to figure it out as we went. But we took that leap, and now we know that we were right in believing in ourselves and launching the podcast, despite all the fears, the hesitations. Well, it also helps when you have a partner like Shopify on your side to help. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Mattel to True Crime All the Time to brands just getting started. Shopify has hundreds of ready-to-use templates to help you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand's style. They also help you easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And if you get stuck, Shopify's always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support. It's time to turn those what-ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/unsolved. Go to shopify.com/unsolved. That's shopify.com/unsolved. On July 20th, a witness reported seeing Trevaline leaving her home on the afternoon she disappeared. It was believed she vanished from her shop shortly after she left a note, but a woman who knew her saw her leaving her home on Market Street around 2:30 p.m. and walking towards the town center. This was the last confirmed sighting of Trevaline, which indicated that perhaps she had gone home for a lunch break and was returning to work. And that would make a lot of sense, except for the note that says, "I'll be back in 2 minutes." You would think if she was planning on going home for lunch, she would have put on the 30-minute or the 2-hour or, something along those lines.
So could it have been the fact that she just put the wrong sign on the door?
Could have been.
Paying attention?
Yeah, just grabbed the wrong one.
Yeah.
And instead of 2 minutes, she thought she had the 2-hour one.
It could have been.
It's possible. There were 2 more suspected sightings, both of which are unconfirmed. At 2:35, a woman matching Trevaline's description was seen walking out of town along the A5 highway towards Corwin beside the Riverside Park. Then at 3:45 p.m., a woman was seen walking into Park Avenue from the direction of the River Dee. The Daily Post also reported that Richard Evans returned to Llangollen earlier than first stated. It was reported that he returned about lunchtime, not 5 p.m.
So that's a difference.
It's a big difference, especially given what we know about her timeline.
Right.
Detective Superintendent John Cook, leading the investigation, told the press, "It seems that during the course of the afternoon, Mr. Evans and Mrs. Evans's brother both attempted to make contact with Mrs. Evans at the shop and failed to do so. At this time, police were keeping an open mind to all possibilities, including abduction, murder, suicide, or that Trevaline left voluntarily.
So basically everything.
Yeah, and I think you have to, right? Don't you have to keep all possibilities open unless like a piece of evidence closes one or more of them off?
I agree.
And I think sometimes, some of these investigations, they kind of go off the rails when it's not worked that way, right? They pick one avenue and they just focus in on that to the exclusion of everything else. I think bad things can happen sometimes when they do that.
I concur.
Superintendent Cook discounted any connection with the disappearance of Peggy Goodman from the Wrexham area in 1983, or the disappearance and death of Mifanwi Jones from Corwin in 1985.
Well, sometimes when you have these disappearances, it's easy to try to connect them with a similar case.
It is. I guess the problem I would have is, we are talking quite a few years later.
Right.
Right. This is 1990, and it's not the exact same area, but I get it. You're right in that people do try to connect them. Wrexham's interesting because that's the soccer team that Ryan Reynolds bought.
Oh, that's true.
With that other guy.
Yep.
That other actor.
I wonder if they all have Mint Mobile.
Probably. He gives it out for free, probably. But as you can imagine, right, soon fears grew that Trevaline may have been murdered. Police also said it was imperative that they found a man seen with her in the shop at 4 p.m. Witnesses reported they saw her with a man several times. On June 16th, he was first seen with her around 9:30 near her shop. A witness described the man as in his 50s, 5 foot 6 inches tall, medium build, with short, dark, well-groomed hair, and wearing a navy blazer.
Holy shit. Tom Cruise.
Yeah, could be. A man with a similar description was seen with Trevaline in the Market Street and Oak Street part of town. Another woman thought she caught what she said was a fleeting glimpse of Trevaline in her shop with a man at 4 p.m., but she couldn't give police a firm description. And, to me, this is really kind of changing the narrative in my eyes, right? First it was, okay, she leaves, puts the sign on the door, and then they don't know where she went.
Yeah.
Later on, somebody says they see her, walking near her home. It looks like she went home from lunch. Now, someone's saying they thought they saw her in the shop with a man around 4 p.m. Now, meanwhile, don't forget, her brother has been coming to the shop in intervals.
Right, checking
on her.
I mean, the problem I have with this fleeting glimpse, I feel like I'm in the movie My Cousin Vinny. Like the lady that's looking out the window and...
Is it time for a pair of thicker glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want people to come forward and you want, all of these different tips and sightings and all of that, but it does kind of muddy the waters a little bit. Now, it could be a great piece of the puzzle. We don't know.
Could be. I mean, the timeline seems to bounce around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, did she really see a man in the shop with her at 4 p.m.? And is it the same man that was said to have been seen at 9:30?
Right.
This man who a witness gave a really good description of. On June 27th, Richard made an emotional plea for Trevaline to come home. He added that as time went on, he had to face the possibility that something terrible happened. Now, this is something that I've always thought, right? If you're a family member, you've got this unbelievable hope, right? That your loved one is going to come home safe and sound. But I think as time goes on, there has to be something in most people's minds that although they may not want to address it, express it, they have to be thinking. There is a possibility, right, that something terrible could have happened.
Yeah.
Now, we're only 11 days on, though. But I get it. It could come on as quickly as that. 11 days is a long time to not hear from someone.
And especially if you think that she would never just leave.
Yes, which I do believe both of them thought that. In an interview with the Daily Post, Richard said, all her family and friends are missing her. If she's reading this in the newspaper, we all want her to return. It was a tremendous shock when she disappeared. It was entirely out of character for her. I can think of no reason why she would go like this. Obviously, the family has not given up hope. There's no evidence one way or the other. The police have been very good, and I have nothing but praise for them. I think they're still waiting for that one vital clue. Richard explained that he last saw Trevaline 3 days before she went missing, but he spoke to her on the phone on June 15th. They made plans to go out the next evening. The Daily Post also reported that police had eliminated one man seen walking with Trevaline on June 15th, but they were still searching for the smartly dressed man seen with her on the day she disappeared.
Smartly dressed.
Mm-hmm. That's the one that you called Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Even though he would not have been in his 50s in 1990, but I get the reference.
He might have looked older, makeup and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, he could have been doing one of those Mission Impossibles with
the
fake face or something.
Trying to look like Jim.
During the investigation, police interviewed every household in Llangollen and people who lived further outside town. Authorities searched the River Dee, the canal, mine shafts, and caves in the area.
I mean, that's pretty thorough, right? Because they said it was a town of almost, 3,600?
Yeah.
That's a lot of door-to-door and interviews.
It is, but obviously more doable in a town that with that population than it would be if you had 50,000 or 100,000.
Right.
An artist's impression of the man in a blazer who was reportedly seen with Trevaline was circulated in the papers. In total, investigators took over 330 statements, checked 1,500 names, and logged and eliminated 685 cars.
Pretty thorough.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're doing their job, right? But Trevaline was not found, and her case went cold. There were sightings of her in London, France, even a remote town in Australia. Interpol was involved with the investigation in France.
I mean, so they're taking all the leads seriously. They're looking into them. I mean, remember her son is also a police officer.
Yeah. I would say when Interpol gets involved, the seriousness does go up. I mean, that's a big time agency. In 1992, the woods in the World's End area of Denbighshire was searched after police received a tip from a self-proclaimed medium. World's End is a narrow vale between Wrexham and Llangollen that is popular with hikers and cyclists.
How do you become self-proclaimed?
You just say
myself.
it. You just say it. That's what self-proclaimed means. You literally just say you're a medium.
So is that kind of like, I am a member of Mensa?
That is a self-proclaimed Gibbyism.
Yeah.
In 1993, police searched a canal near Llangollen after a woman wrote to police stating that she was, quote, overwhelmed by a feeling that Trevaline was nearby. And it's interesting, right? I mean, you do have psychics, mediums, people who come out in a lot of these unsolved cases and try to lend their, I'll say expertise for the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
We also talked about a psychic in our True Crime All the Time case this week. I think if you're the police, what do you do with that information? Because, okay, you may not believe in some of these things, or you may not believe people have these type of gifts, but can you just write it off completely? What happens if this person's telling the truth? Or what happens if they really have good information?
I think you have to look at every lead that comes in and weigh it and make that decision. I mean, I mean, there have been cases in the past where mediums or psychics have helped solve. Now, is that just pure luck?
Right. You're right. It's not that they have never helped, because they have. Trevaline was officially declared dead in 1997. Detective Superintendent Colin Edwards told the Wrexham leader at the time, her bank account has never been touched, and they are such a close family. I'm sure she would have been in touch by now. And again, that's kind of the sentiment or the feeling I have in most of these cases.
Yeah.
You know, if they leave everything behind, they don't take any money, there's no glaring reason that someone can think of for why they would want to leave. It's hard for me to think that, you know, someone just up and voluntarily vanished, but we do have cases now and then where people are found 30, 40 years later and they say, yeah, I just left. So it does happen, but I don't think it's the norm. On January 15th, 1999, Trevaline's son, Richard Evans, suddenly died of a heart attack at home. He was only 37 years old with a wife and 2 young children.
Man, young.
He was young. You just wonder how much his mother's disappearance weighed on him, affected his health. Could that have had something to do with, you know, dying from a heart attack at such a young age? It's hard to think that it didn't have something to do with it.
I would think it had some impact.
In January 2001, Trevaline's case was reopened in the hope that new technology could find fresh evidence. The 2001 investigation focused on her movements between her return to Llangollen on June 13th and her disappearance on June 16th. Police have fragmented information of this period. One report suggested that she was at a wine bar early on the evening of June 15th, but this report came from 2 Scottish tourists, and no locals could recall seeing her there. DCI Alan Jones, leading the new inquiry, told the BBC, "We see this as a potential crime, but we still don't have a body. Our task is to look at the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of Mrs. Evans and to extend the line of inquiries. We're looking at the information collated during the original investigation and how developments in police methods and new scientific techniques can assist us in gaining further information on the disappearance of Mrs. Evans." And, you know, for the longest time, I did not know what DCI meant until I watched that series with Idris Elba.
Oh, yeah?
Luther.
That
was a good series. I liked it.
And you said, what's a DCI?
Well, they kept saying it. Detective Chief Inspector, I think is what it is. Police also ruled out the artist's sketch as no longer accurate. And I don't know how they came to that conclusion so many years later.
Was it like, oh, you know what? I made that all up. You might want to just pitch that. I mean, how do you...
I can't imagine that's how it all panned out.
Yeah, I can't think it would either. I just don't know why would you all of a sudden say it's no longer accurate if you don't know who the person was.
You know, I have used online therapy for years. Sometimes the stress just piles up and you need someone to talk to. And I prefer a licensed therapist. Finding a therapist is hard enough, but finding one who actually takes your insurance, that's where most online therapy platforms fall short. Many don't work with insurance at all, which means you're stuck paying the full cost out of pocket or paying for an expensive monthly subscription. Rula does things differently. They partner with over 100 insurance plans, making the average copay just $15 per session. That's real therapy from licensed professionals at a price that actually makes sense. And Rula is committed to supporting you and staying with you every step of the way on your mental health journey, from finding the right therapist to helping you schedule appointments and monitoring your progress. Rula is there to help. Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that's actually covered by insurance. Visit Rula.com/TCAT to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know we sent you. That's RULA.com/TCATT. You deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget. On June 29, 2001, Trevaline's husband, who at that point was 72 years old, was arrested and questioned. Richard spent more than 12 hours in custody, but was released without charge. A police spokesman confirmed an unnamed man, later identified as Richard, was helping with inquiries. But based on a lack of reporting, it seems Richard didn't ever come forward to share what happened during his interview. Police have also not said exactly why they decided to bring him in so many years later.
Fascinating.
It is. And we've done cases in the UK, and people are arrested and brought in and questioned. It happens in a kind of a different way than it does here in the States, right? Being arrested means a little bit different over there.
You're right.
It's very rare that you get arrested here and then you're just let go. Normally, for them to get to the point where you're arrested, you're being charged with something.
That's right. You're going to get booked in.
Detective Chief Inspector Alan Jones, who led the new investigation, told reporters in early July 2001 that they were concentrating on Trevaline's last known movements, saying she went missing at lunchtime in a very busy town. It seems unlikely she was taken at force. I cannot totally rule out suicide, but I'm prepared to eliminate the possibility that she's still alive. I'm looking for a body, and I'm convinced it will be found in the Llangollen area. And it's a very interesting statement. He is prepared to eliminate the possibility that she's still alive.
He's either saying she was murdered or she died by suicide.
Yeah, but here's my problem with the suicide angle. It seems very likely that they would have found her body if she had taken her own life. I'm not saying you couldn't hide your body and end your life at the same time, but it seems like it would be hard to do.
Yeah, kind of unlikely.
He's also saying it seems unlikely she was taken by force. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of all that.
Yeah.
Detectives closed the investigation on July 15, 2001. DCI Jones told the leader, despite looking at this investigation in great depth and with thoroughness, Mrs. Evans remains missing. As with all missing persons, the file will remain open, and we would appeal for anyone who may have information that could prove vital in solving this case to get in touch with North Wales Police. In June 2010, Trevaline's brother, Lynn Davies, appealed for the police to reinvestigate the case. He hoped that new policing techniques might solve her disappearance. The North Wales Police noted the case had never been closed. And I get it, right? It had been almost a decade, and her brother saying, hey, can you take another look at this? And I think family members, that would be a very normal thing for them to do. They don't want this case to be forgotten.
Yeah, don't let it get stale.
The other thing that jumped out at me is you're probably not looking at Lynn Davies as any type of person of interest.
No.
Because most people who had anything to do with it wouldn't be hounding the police to reopen the investigation. I'm not saying they ever looked at him like that in the first place, but
he just wants to know what happened to his sister.
Yeah. Richard Evans declined to comment on the 20th anniversary of Trevaline's disappearance. Lynn Davies told the BBC, I understand at the time the police had done all they could, but I still think they should get involved again. He also talked about the effect his sister's disappearance had on him. He said, I can't say you ever come to terms with it. You accept it. People you speak to have different ideas about what happened with her. Some say she might have just gone off, but I don't believe that at all. I have no idea what happened, but my opinion is that she has been abducted. And if I'm just balancing, the scale, for me, abduction versus just going off and leaving your family, I tend to lean towards abduction, murder, something bad.
Right.
Versus voluntarily leaving. I just do. because I think more often than not, that's the case.
Yeah, I just don't feel like she left her family behind on her own.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that her son died years later. She's still, if she left on her own, I mean, how could you do that to your grandkids? They just
who she would have never met.
Yeah, because she wasn't,
but could meet.
Yeah,
could come back and yeah. So I think that one's tough. I also thought that it was a little strange that her husband didn't even want to make a comment on the 20th anniversary of her disappearance. Now, it didn't say what outlet was asking him for a comment, so that could have played a part. But like I said, normally the family wants to keep their loved one's case kind of in the public eye.
And maybe after 20 years, he's just tired of answering the same questions.
Maybe.
And he's in his 70s, and he's like, hey, I don't really want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that could definitely be the case. North Wales Police Superintendent Steve Gould said, investigations such as these are never closed unless we establish what exactly has occurred and obtain sufficient evidence against individuals to mount a prosecution. We would ask anyone with information which may assist the investigation to contact North Wales Police. In September 2011, police confirmed they were investigating potential links between Trevaline's disappearance and serial killer Robin Ligas, who was convicted of killing 3 men, including one elderly victim. Back in 1996, he was sentenced for the 1994 murder of 75-year-old Robert Young, who was killed in a home burglary in Shrewsbury. In September 2010, Ligas was charged with 3 more murders. Following cold case reviews, a file of evidence was submitted to prosecutors in December 2009. Ligas was due for consideration of release in 2011. He was accused of killing 53-year-old antiques dealer Trevor Bradley, who was found dead in a burnout car near Melverley, Shropshire, in April 1994. He was also charged with the murder of 57-year-old Brian Coles, who was found in October 1994 at his home in Higher Heath near Whitchurch, Shropshire. Finally, Ligas was charged with the murder of 36-year-old Bernard Sizuska, who was found in the River Severn at Shrewsbury in November 1994. The North Wales Police said they were looking at Ligas for new information in regards to Trevaline's death. One detective said, "We'll consider this man and review the information we have." In July 2011, he was convicted of the murders of Trevor Bradley and Brian Coles, but was acquitted of the murder of Bernard Sizuska. In September 2011, he was ordered to be detained indefinitely in a secure hospital due to the effects of a stroke. In January 2012, police officially ruled out a link between Ligas and Trevaline. Ligas died on December 16, 2022.
But they chased down everything they could about this guy.
They did. I was kind of blown away, to be honest with you, that he was due for consideration of release in 2011 after being sentenced to murder in 1996.
Yeah, seems a little strange.
It's light. I think you'd have to admit that. That's what, 15 years.
Yeah. The guy looks scary, man.
Yeah, we looked at pictures of him. He's a scary looking dude. Luckily, they were able to tie him to a bunch more murders, so he wasn't released. Trevaline's husband, Richard Evans, died at Wrexham Mailer Hospital on December 27, 2014. He was 83 years old. Her brother, Lynn Davies, noted that he passed away without knowing what happened to his wife. And that is true, assuming he didn't have anything to do with it. And we said it, right? Police arrested him. They pulled him in for questioning, but nothing happened after that.
Right.
So they must have not had any evidence that pointed to him having something to do with it. But there was a reason why they arrested him and brought him in for questioning. On March 14, 2019, brothers Andrew and Lee Sutton, having been tipped off that there were human remains hidden at the Rudland Golf Club clubhouse, rented a special camera that showed skeletal remains, including a hand and skull. They contacted police, who conducted a search 5 days later and found nothing. The brothers said their evidence was confirmed by a forensic expert, and they still have the pictures. Andrew told the local press, "We have no axe to grind in this at all, but we know what we saw, and what we saw had been removed by the time the police went to the golf club."
Man, that's disappointing, but also it makes you wonder if there's some type of conspiracy or
did whoever, if there really was remains, did whoever put them there know that these brothers had stumbled onto them and got rid of them?
Yeah.
Before police actually got out there. I don't know. And we don't even know if there were remains, who they were.
Right.
I mean, there's no guarantee they were Trevaline.
Could have been anybody's. But they're saying they have photographic proof that there was something there.
In August 2021, North Wales Live reported that police were reviewing a connection between Christopher Hallowell, who was convicted of murdering 2 women, and Trevaline's disappearance. Hallowell was convicted of killing 20-year-old Becky Godden, who went missing in 2003, and the abduction and murder of 22-year-old Sharon O'Callaghan in 2011. Freelance journalist Tim Hicks and retired officer Chris Clark believe Hallowell should be a suspect in Trevaline's disappearance. They linked Hallowell to 3 other unsolved murders between 1988 and 1994. They also found a witness who claimed Hallowell was working in North Wales at the time of Trevaline's disappearance. In 2021 and 2022, cryptic messages about Trevaline appeared on plaques placed on benches. In the spring of 2022, a plaque was attached to a wooden bench near an abandoned 200-year-old cottage in Prestatyn, located in County Denbighshire. The site is a popular resting spot for walkers on the Offadykes footpath. The style is identical to a plaque that was fixed to a bench on another walkway in 2021, which was later removed by the Denbighshire County Council. The first message was found about 30 miles from Llangollen. Both messages said Trevaline's remains were removed from Rudland Golf Club.
Okay.
According to Wales Online, the inscription on the most recent plaque said, "Justice awaits those responsible for the removal and disposal of Trevaline Evans in this life or next from Rudland Golf Club on March 19th, 2019 at noon. May the Lord have mercy upon their soul." The 2021 message said, "In memory of Trevaline Evans, vanished 16/6/1990, found Rudland GC 14/3/2019, removed 19/3/2019, RIP." Now, obviously, you would think that Andrew and Lee Sutton might have had something to do with it, but they have denied having anything to do with the plaques and said they didn't know who was responsible or why the plaques were put in such unexpected locations. So it's like another mystery.
It is. It really is.
They noted that since the plaques were found, someone had smashed a window in Andrew's house, and Lee received threatening phone calls. As of 2026, there have been no updates in regards to the mysterious plaques or the alleged remains at the Rudland Golf Club. So as we wrap this one up, Gibbs, I mean, the disappearance of Trevaline Evans remains a mystery, right? There are many unanswered questions. Investigators still haven't identified the man who was allegedly seen with her on the afternoon of her disappearance. You know, it's clear that something terrible happened to her at some point on the afternoon of June 16th, 1990. But authorities have yet to determine what it was or who was responsible.
Yeah. I mean, they've got another potential serial killer they leaned on, but then you have this golf club that potentially had some type of bones that were seen in special photographs, but then were not there when the police came back. It just makes you wonder, did someone come and remove them? Was it the person that put them there?
And were they Trevaline's remains or somebody else? And then you would have another mystery on top of what we've talked about. You know, I do want to go back to her husband, Richard, because we talked about it, but we didn't go in depth, right? He said that he got back into town around 5. But the police later came out and said, no, he really got back around lunchtime.
Yeah.
And you just have to wonder why there was a discrepancy there.
I mean, could he have had something to do with it?
Yeah, I think it's possible. And then you kind of couple that with the fact that they years later arrest and question him. It seems odd to me.
At the time of her disappearance, her son was a police officer. So maybe they didn't look really hard at her husband because of that.
Yeah, it's a possibility, right? I mean, all we can work with are questions and theories and possibilities because there's very little in the way of concrete information.
Yeah.
Even the witnesses. I mean, yeah, people came forward to say, I saw her at this time, but, you know, can they really be confirmed? Probably not.
I really feel like the brothers onto something with what they found at the golf club. I just wish we would know more about that, and I don't know if we ever will.
Yeah, I don't know how they'll solve this mystery if they ever do. You know, people have died who were involved, right? Many years have passed since she disappeared. But hopefully this is one that can be solved because it is a tremendous mystery. Or there's a couple of mysteries here that are all kind of wrapped up. But that's it for our episode on Trevaline Evans. We got a voicemail. You want to check that out?
Let's hear it.
Hey, Mike and Gibby. This is your old pal, Teresa, in Sunset, Louisiana. Formerly, I was just listening to your podcast on David Grubbs, and it occurred to me you said it's in Ashland. Ashland is known for the Shakespeare Festival, and it's a very artsy area of Oregon, and it is not unusual to see people running around with swords. I'm not even kidding. You'll see people dressed in Shakespeare garb all year long. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting, and I love your show. Always and forever a T-Cat fan. Team be all the way, but love you too, Mikey. And keep your own time ticking and your head on a swivel. Have a great week. Bye.
All right, awesome. Thank you for the voicemail. I mean, how long is this Shakespeare festival? All year round?
Thus that I does not know, proclaim thus me.
Does mother know that you weareth her drapes?
Thus I'm not sure.
Oh, man, I still can't get over just people walking around in swords. I got to go up and see this.
Yeah.
We should take a road trip just to check out all this sword wearing.
You know, to
be or not to be.
Be or not to be.
I mean, that is the question.
You know, got to weld a sword. Is it weld a sword? What's it called?
Wield.
Wield.
Did you say weld?
Well, you got to weld it first to make it, and then you have to
you do
wield
have
it.
to weld. No, I don't think they weld swords. Oh, my goodness. All right. On that, we're getting out of here.
Yeah.
That is it for another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.
shows.
We're coming at you with everything we got.
This is the mindset. Free. This is the mantra. Free. This is the mindset. With movies like Pineapple Express, the entire Star Trek film franchise, and Gladiator, and TV shows like Survivor, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Fairly Odd Parents, and Ghosts, Pluto TV is always free. Huzzah! Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.